Hi, welcome back to Silver Linings. Today I'm going to talk to you about airline travel. I am going to give you a lot of the tips and things that I wish I would have known when I started traveling years ago. I've traveled for about 30 years now on international flights and domestic flights on all different levels of airlines. Things that you can use to save a lot of money in the airport, and also if something goes wrong on those flights or you have any issues, how to handle them and how to get back what you deserve. So stay with me. Please comment below during this video if you have any thoughts or suggestions, or you've been a traveler and I missed something that you think is really valuable for everybody to hear. Please share that with us. And there's a lot of ways you can save money. There's a lot of ways that you could get the best flight. So first of all, the best thing is to do is start early. So if you know you're going to travel somewhere at least 6 months in advance, try to get that flight at least on the radar. And when I say on the radar, I use Google Flights, and I put the place I start with, my airport starting and returning, and my dates, departing and returning, and then it'll pop up a calendar if you have flexible dates, and try to have flexible dates by even 1 or 2 days will help you tremendously with saving money. It could just be that instead of traveling Friday, if you switch to Thursday, you'll save $200 round trip on a flight. So have that flexibility. It is cheapest to fly Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday in general. Usually the weekends are always more expensive, or Friday to a Friday more expensive. So if you're able to go Tuesday to a Tuesday, Wednesday to Wednesday, you're going to save money. Also, it seems to be that booking flights on Sunday is cheaper. I don't know why, but it seems when I'm booking my flights on a Sunday, I save money. So think about maybe trying to look for those prices of flights on Sunday. And I also would recommend using another computer. So I know there's algorithms out there that the computers can see what you've searched for. So let's say you're searching for something on Saturday, but you're planning to book it Sunday. Use someone else's phone. Use someone else's to look at things. Then go to your device to actually book it. Or log in incognito mode if you know how to do an incognito mode. So hopefully they don't recognize your search path and patterns. So then when you go to book actually and pay for it, it might be higher. So that's just another thing that technology is kind of hurts us sometimes in a little bit of a way. So booking that flight. I also recommend getting the app for whatever airline that you actually do finally book with. Get their app. This will save you on knowing where you're going to travel and any updates or anything, or any delays or anything. So I've had it happen where they've changed my gate when I'm going through security. I thought I was going to D, now I'm going to C, which is a whole nother terminal in Dallas. You got to take a tram there. Thank goodness I knew that, because the app notified me, and I hopped on a train and made it to that flight. If I had gone all the way to the original gate and found out then that it moved to another terminal, I would have not made that flight. So I highly recommend getting the app for whatever airline that you do decide to choose. Don't pay to assign your seats when you book your flight if you're booking alone. If you're a solo traveler, it's great. So I always book economy, and usually for economy you got to pay to upgrade for a window seat or another seat. You got to pay a little bit extra. Don't pay the extra. Don't pick a seat. At the gate when you get there, they will assign you a seat, and guess what? Guess what seats are left usually? The higher level seats, comfort or business. First class, you usually don't get those too much, but I have gotten lucky one time. I'd had issues with that airline every weekend, and they noticed, and I said, I have had delays every single weekend. So they go, well, here you go. And they gave me a first class seat. That was the only time I flew first class. I was really excited about that. So don't book your seat. Now, if you're traveling with a group and you still want to do that, it's fine, but you may not sit together. So when you get to the gate, let them know you have 3 people. You'd like to sit as close as possible, but you might not get to sit together. So just be aware of that. But you will get usually a better seat, either a window or an aisle, versus the dreaded middle seat. So if you book economy and you go ahead and book that seat, usually what's left if you book too late is middle seat. If you're getting lucky and you book early enough and you get a good seat selection, great, go ahead and book that. And let's talk about luggage. Luggage is something where you can save money. So if you have clearly an oversized bag that is going to be really large, obviously you're going to check that bag, go ahead and pay for that in advance rather than at the airport. It is cheaper. But if you're not sure about the size of your bag, like I travel with a very large, the largest carry-on that you're allowed to get in the overhead, and I pack it full. And I know it's really oversized once I pack it, but at the gate, they always offer to free complimentary check it to my last destination. So I don't have to worry about it. And I know this. Now going through security, you might ask, well, what if my bag's too big? Does security care if it's an oversized bag? No, they don't care. They just push it through the x-ray machine and do their job. At the gate, just walk right up and be really nice and say, hey, are you offering to take any bags and courtesy check them through to my final destination? And most likely they're going to say yes, because most likely they've oversold the flight and they know they're going to have to take people's bags in that last group that's boarding anyways, so you're saving someone else from having to turn in their bag that might not want to. So you can get that free checked bag at the gate, most likely. If you do this, make sure you take any medications or anything you have out of that bag. So put it into your carry-on, your backpack, or whatever you have that's staying with you. So make sure you do take what you need in case they lose that bag. The last note about luggage that you might not know is if they lose the bag or tear the bag. I've had it where they have torn the bag. It got back to the luggage rack and had a big tear in it. And this was a flight attendant that let me know this. Thank you for that tip. And honestly, ask the staff for any questions or any advice you have, because they're going to give you the best information. If you have someone that's nice to you, questions, ask them, talk to them. So she said, just go over to the luggage, unclaimed luggage, and let them know that your bag is torn. And they'll usually give you a credit to buy another bag. And I said, really? What? I did. And instead of giving me a credit to buy a bag, the lady actually has a stash of brand new carry-on bags with tags on them. And she said, oh, well, we have a brand new one to give you. I was like, okay. I ended up with a brand new bag that she handed to me right there. So you might just get a lucky and get a whole new bag. So what I've learned in the airline industry is ask people for information nicely and ask for what you want. Okay, so moving on to packing. So when I travel on my weekends, I have to take a lot of different shoes. There's a lot of different looks I have to have. So the shoes are the most cumbersome, heavy things. Knowing that, if it's cold, I also need to bring sweatshirts and things. So I always wear all the heavy stuff. So it saves room in my bag and I have more room for all the clothes. That being said, I've learned to pack lighter and not bring so much, because half the time I never wore what I brought. I would wear like 4 or 5 things and mix and match them, and I overpack. So choose, like, I recommend 3 colors, black, white, and pick a color, because you can mix black and white with everything, and then that other color can mix and match with everything, whether it's the pants, the shirts, mix and match. Shoes, bring 2 types of shoes, one for really casual, one for really comfortable. If you need a dress-up look, that's another pair that you might have to pack. So mix and matching and packing light. And also, if you're traveling for a long time, just wash your clothes when you're out there, because it'll save you so much hassle from carrying a big heavy bag around on a long trip. Packing lighter is so much more enjoyable for your trip. That's my advice to you on packing. Going through TSA, let's talk about going through the security. So going through security, people don't always know what you can do. So yes, 3 ounces of liquids is your limit on liquids. But they don't care about solids. They don't care about food. People don't always know you can bring your own food through. And we know how expensive airport food is. A burrito is $12 when it could have been $2 at Taco Bell. So go get your food and bring it through security with you. Yes, you have to put it through the x-ray machine, and also I recommend taking it out of your bag and having it separate. I love to bring cheese and crackers. That's my thing. I freeze my cheese so that it is still cool when I'm on the airplane. It's defrosted, but they always flag it if I don't take it out. They think it's like plastic explosive or something like that. So just make sure that you take it out of your suitcase so that they can know what it is, and when it goes through security x-ray, they don't have to undo your bag and all that thing. If you're willing to get TSA pre-check, I recommend it. Some people are not sure, should I get it, should I not get it? If you're a traveler that travels a lot through major big airports, and I will say especially Orlando, Because of Disney World, that airport is always packed and the lines are long. It will save you a lot of time. It's about $75. It'll take you about a month to get the whole process done to where you get a known traveler number. And with that, you always put it onto your reservations when you book a flight check or a known traveler number. You put your number in there, and then it'll say pre-check on your ticket. So you make sure that you put that known traveler number into your reservation when booking your flights. So if your whole group doesn't have it, it's not always great because you're the only one that has it going through security. Sometimes I just hang with everybody else anyways. But if you are traveling a lot, especially alone in major airports, I definitely recommend getting that known traveler number, that TSA pre-check. So that's another tip for you just to get through quicker. Another save money tip is bring a water bottle and bring an empty one through security so that on the other side you can fill it up with water. Bring a flavor packet, the little dry ones or the little squeezy ones, and just flavor your water. And now you have some nice flavored water. You didn't have to pay $8 for a soda or $9 for a Starbucks, which is what they cost. If you get a nice venti caramel macchiato in the airport, you will pay $8.50 or $9. So let's move on to the topic of what do you do when your airline flights are canceled or delayed, you're stuck in the airport, you've got all these other things happening. And I've got a chicken that's right here in front of me. Everybody say hi to Miss B. She's like, oh, I want to be on camera. You want to be on camera? Okay. Pause that topic for a second, because I do want to go back to another way to make the most value out of your trip, especially if you're traveling alone. A lot of times they're going to offer people to bump to another flight if they've oversold a flight. So many times they oversell flights by 2 or 3 people, and they don't expect all the people to show up, so they think it's fine. Well, sometimes they all show up. So they offer a volunteer position right at the gate. Sometimes it's through your app as well. So make sure that app is something that's going to say, would you like to change to another flight? And we're offering $400. Sometimes it's a Visa card. Sometimes it's just a future credit. You can book a flight in the future for $400. Bye, Miss B. Put you down. So I always take those volunteer opportunities when they arise because they don't always arise. But if they do and you're traveling alone or even with your whole group, let the gate agent know, hey, we're with a group. So if one of you is willing to stay behind and wait, usually just ask them, say, when's the next flight that you would put me on? They'll say, oh, the next flight's only 2 hours away. And your rest of your group's like, oh, well, fine, we'll see you there. You just made $400, either a Visa or a future credit. Why not? That's 2 hours of your time and you've got $400. That's $200 an hour, and that's a pretty good wage. So always look for those volunteer opportunities when they ask for volunteers to bump to another flight because of overbooking. Okay, so I forgot about that. That's a really great opportunity. Let's go on to what happens when your flights are delayed, canceled, you're frustrated. What can you ask for and what can you do? First thing I always recommend is talk to someone that is working for the airline and ask them, first of all, when is the next flight going out? You know, usually they'll try and arrange for you to get onto another flight. Great. If you get onto another flight, wonderful. You just have to wait. That's it. If you're waiting a really, really long time, you have the right to ask them for a food voucher. So ask them, please, may I have a food voucher because I'm here in the airport for 4 hours. They will give it to you. It's usually about $12, but it's enough to get you a small meal, and you only have to ask for it. They won't offer it to you, but if you ask, they will give it to you most likely. The second thing that you can also work on is getting a future travel credit. If you've been inconvenienced enough, you can ask for a future travel credit. Now for this, you're going to have to go call the customer service 800 number or walk to the actual counter in your airline terminal. So if you're flying Delta, stay in the Delta terminal, go to the Delta customer service, talk to the Delta agent. To get these things, the biggest thing I need to tell you is to be nice. So be really, really nice. People forget that these folks are just doing their job and they've been there all day long. So read the room. When you walk in, read the room. Do you have 5 people in front of you that have all been inconvenienced and you can see that that customer service agent is frustrated and has been yelled at all day? Think of the best things you can say to them, because then you'll get the great things. So remember, you catch more flies with honey than vinegar. This happened to me in Charlotte, North Carolina this season. I saw that I had 10 people in front of me and all the flights that whole day had been delayed, canceled, delayed. People were angry. It was just not a fun place. So I thought, this poor person has had this coming at them all day, this gate agent, this customer service agent. So I walked up to him and I just said, wow, I've been watching and it looks like you've had a really tough day. Are you doing okay? And he was just like, oh my gosh. And he started venting and I could tell he needed to just vent a little bit. So I said, yeah, I don't envy you and your job. And I said, and here I am, the next person that needs something. And he said, oh my gosh, what do you need? And he was clearly just nice that someone listened to him and let him have a time to talk a little bit. So I said, well, I'm delayed and I'm not going to make my connection flight, which is going to put me overnight, which is going to make me not make my event where I'm directing. I'm very stressed out, and this is actually the third weekend that this has happened, so I'm hoping that you can really take good care of me. And that's where I'm at. He goes, okay, let me see where you need to go. He asked all the questions. He looked, blah, 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 type. Had to be put overnight in the hotel. Ended up putting me up at that airport instead of at my connection airport, which is not a great, he goes, that's not a good area. I'd rather put you up overnight here. So then you can get on a flight in the morning here and just go straight there. And he got me a direct flight in the morning instead of a connecting flight, which was great. He gave me not one food voucher, but 2 food vouchers and an overnight hotel. So I was very happy about that. And the hotel was a Hyatt. It was nice. It was decent. I had a free shuttle. I had to call my company, obviously, and figure out things. That was stressful, but I was nice. And I got also, on top of that, I asked for a future travel voucher. Because this was my 3rd weekend with this same airline that had issues, I said, is there any way I can get a travel voucher for all my inconveniences? It has been crazy. The last 3 weeks, I've not made my events, and I would just appreciate anything that you might be able to do. I got $400. $400 paper voucher. You have to book with that paper voucher. It has a number on it, either in person at the airline, but I got $400 just for asking and being nice. So just think about things that you would like to hear if you were in their shoes. Put yourself in their shoes always. So just ask and be nice. Just remember, be nice. Okay, let's see. Other ways to save money. Anything else I can think of that I missed? Hotels. If you do need to book a hotel, I will say the best way to get a really great deal on a hotel, if you're not set on a specific hotel, like you have to have Marriott, you have to have specifics. Go on Priceline. It's called Express Deals. And you can click on Express Deals, and it'll kind of give you a price, and it'll say it's a 3-star or a 4-star or a 2-star. You can put your area, and you will get a hotel in your set area for whatever star level you put at that price, but you're rolling the dice on what hotel you get. So you'll say, yes, I want a 3-star hotel, and it's $120 a night, and it's in this area. You don't know what hotel you're going to get. You just click go, you pay for it, and it gives you a hotel assignment. So you just don't know what hotel you're going to get. But I got a hotel in Sedona, Arizona that was $320 a night, and I paid $149 because it was last minute, and I rolled the dice, and it was awesome. So I recommend that you roll the dice and see what you get on Express Deals on Priceline. That's a great way to get a hotel for cheap. Another quick travel, cheap, thrifty thing is make sure you take public transportation. So grab the bus, grab a train. Any way you can take public transportation, if it's available, will save you a lot of money. Other than that, I think I've gone through most of your airport tidbits. So please comment if you have anything that you'd like to add, that you thought of while I was talking, that said, hey, I'd love for someone to know this fact. Going back to TSA PreCheck, another great thing is you don't have to take your shoes off. You don't have to take your laptops out of your bag. That's another great thing too, to get PreChecked. Another reason, it's $75. I think it's 5 years that it lasts. So it's worth it if you're traveling a lot. Anyways, comment below. Please subscribe, and I'll see you on the next Silver Linings on Porch Talk. Thanks for joining me for the airport tips, and happy traveling and happy flying.